All right, it's SIP episode 93, and tonight we are discussing bottle shapes. Tall bottles called a hawk, Pinot Noir bottles with very low shoulders, Bordeaux bottles. This one happens to be clear, and we even discuss the Guinness bottle, and we do it all with Stephanie Trotter-Zacharia from Dublin, Ireland. Welcome to the internet's most entertaining hour of wine. Sit back, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Martin Cody, or MC. Actually, MC is for Martin Cody, not EMCE. I am one of the co-founders of Cellar and we are a direct-to-consumer wine company now in our 12th and a half year of operation, having been founded in 2010. And our mission is to bring you some of the greatest wine producers and let you get up close and personal and taste their wines in Napa and Sonoma. And tonight is no exception. Now, many of you know Stephanie. Many of you bought a sip kit. Many of you are drinking her wine. Some of you might be new and you're thinking, how the heck did they get their wine ahead of the broadcast? Quite simple. They went to the Cellar Angels website. And on the Cellar Angels website, you will see the sip kit. In the sip kit, yes, Mission Control is looking at me. Are you trying to share? No, Mission Control is in my ear yelling. In the sip kit, you will see there are 4 or 5 wines that are available for purchase. They represent the wines for the next 4 episodes. So when you go to the Cellar Angels website, of which I will show you right now, boom, we're on the shop wine section. Here's the sip kit. We are tasting Stephanie's wine tonight, which we are going to get in-depth details on. But here you have 5 bottles of wine because, knock, 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 we've got a treat coming up in 2 weeks, what it's referred to as a Scotland, because we're going to be opening up 2 bottles, just like Scotland does on most school nights. And I'm not certain Scotland's on, so we can say that. One sipster pointed out that we seem to do a lot of the Goldschmidt wines that are Scotland's, and that's accidental. So we apologize for that. But this is where you get the sip kit. So grab one of those, you get 4 or 5 bottles of wine, you're set for the next 4 Fridays, and it's that easy. Then you can taste the wines and decide, oh, I'm going to go back and revisit that one and buy more wines. And that's exactly what it's all about. Because you, my friends, are the angels. You are the heroes. Cellar Angels is all about providing hope, not hype. So there's not a lot of texting going on. We don't bombard you with messaging or anything like that. It's just 12 years now, some of the best winemakers, some of the best fruit, some of the best wines, and the greatest people in all of wine country. And I have the honor and privilege of sharing one of those people with you this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up at 1 o'clock in the morning to Stephanie Trotter-Zacharia in Dublin, Ireland. Thank you, Stephanie.
Woo! So fun to be here.
This is insane that you are in Dublin and trying to come back from a cruise, if I understand correctly, and had a positive test early last week, phoned us or emailed us and said, we have a small issue. Houston, we have a problem. And so what has transpired since then, other than you getting to know Dublin really well?
Yeah. Well, a few stories have happened. So a few people left the ship and tested positive in neighboring towns. Like they went on to do other things. So I don't know if it all happened or when, but each country handles COVID positive cases differently. And in Ireland, they don't care. They're 95% vaccinated. So it's not a threat or an issue to their population, and they're not concerned. So that's been absolutely lovely for me, because my husband and I are both triple vaxxed and tested positive for our return flight, which is a requirement 24 hours before you come back into the US.
Interesting.
Yeah, so here we are. So we're just running around Dublin till our tests are negative, which they are now. I think we tested this morning and we'll test again tomorrow. And then we'll be able to get on our plane on Wednesday.
Well, thank you so much for doing it from your hotel room in Dublin, and hopefully your neighbors don't mind. And
right, I know, I thought about that, but no, it's a nice hotel, so they can't.
Awesome. All right, so So Stephanie Trotter has actually been a guest of ours quite a few times, and I'm not certain how we first fell in love and met, but it goes back 7, 8 or more years now. But yours is the story that we love telling because it's the quintessential. This isn't, hey, I sold a .com company and had $100 million and decided I'm going to buy some land. It's not, my grandfather was so and so Coppola, and no. How did you get into wine?
Well, I got married, had to drink a lot and started, drinking some wine. No, and then I had to pay off my wine bill. So, um, basically, I got into wine 28 years ago when I did get married. My husband moved me here to Calistoga, and I got a job at a winery in their tasting room, and I was there for 2 years, where the owner called me Sophie.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know it. Anyway, so
What year was that?
that was in 95, 94, 90, 95. Yep.
And you moved from where to Calistoga?
Santa Rosa,
Okay.
Sonoma County. Sonoma County. I was I didn't drink a lot of wine then, I was kind of young, and I think I mostly drank tequila, but
It's a good starting alcohol.
yeah, right. So so then I got a job in a cellar, and I worked my way up to cellar master within 4 years, and I just fell in love with the process. I've never been artistic on paper or in other mediums, but when it came to wine, it came naturally. So
Nice, very nice. Eric, hello. Izzy and Larry, hello. Jan, I may have said hello to you, but it's always worth saying hello again. There's a bunch of people who I have not seen. Bill K, I'll just use your last initial. Good to see you. So you moved from the Midwest, East Coast, Pennsylvania area to California, didn't know much about wine, got a job in a tasting room where the owner of the winery incorrectly called you the wrong name for 2 years. And you thought, this is what I want to do.
Yep, exactly. There isn't a more generous group of people on the planet, really. I mean, so I'm, I start out, I'm a bootstrap girl. I don't have the .com fortune or anything. And gosh, I've gotten everything I need and more to make my wine. And it's pretty wonderful.
Well, it's funny, and we talk about that often with regards to what not only a magical industry it is in certain areas, but specifically in the Sonoma Napa area, where there is so many people that want to lift the younger people up and say, and give them a guiding hand, because someone obviously did that for them. The path, though, that you have taken, how did you decide, okay, I'm going to be making cab, I'm going to focus on sustainable vineyard sites, I want to, where did that input all come from?
Well, oh gosh, I don't want to get too philosophical, but I think, as you mature, you focus on different things. And then I'm at a point now in my life where I don't want to do anything that doesn't have a smart beginning and a responsible end. So, you kind of need to know where everything comes from now, and you kind of need to go where it's going to go away. Like, you can't just buy stuff anymore.
Right.
It's real important to me. And so just incorporated that into my world. I want to make a vineyard sing. I don't want to have all my ego wrapped up in it. I want to try and get consistency out of the vineyard. And so
do you pick different vineyards based upon their availability, or do you try to find a vineyard that will sing and develop a long-term relationship with those folks that own it?
Well, I'm not so skilled as to be able to come in and look at a vineyard and predict. I just kind of come in and look for the health of it, and then I just work with what's there, and I talk to the best vineyard people.
What? And I think that's where you have a little bit of a leg up because you've been in the Valley now a long time and you've worked with, what is your day job when you're not doing Trotter
I'm
116?
Director of Sales at Tedeschi Family Winery.
And so the Tedeschi's probably know a few people in the Valley.
Yeah, sure. But I do as well from 30 years experience. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So, and I think that's a great thing because that's the wisdom, the experience, right? I mean, experience, I've always said, is something you get when you didn't get what you expected. That's how you get experience. So go out there and try things, go out there and fail fast, go out there and iterate and get beyond your comfort zone. And in the wine industry, you have to do that in order to grow, basically in any industry. But I'm still fascinated where the desire to work with these small, because your vineyard sites are off the beaten path for the most part.
They're privately owned, so they're not big commercial farms. They don't see tractors. They're all hand tended and organic. Although we don't follow the paper trail to have that on the label, which is fine because I'm committed to it and I don't need to, I can tell you that I do it. So,
Right.
but yeah, so I seek out these tiny little vineyards. For me, I don't want more, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I am enjoying what I do. I work at the Tedeschi's during the week and then I make my wine on the side and I get to be focused and passionate and I know it all gets sold. So it's not, I'm not making more than I need. So the little vineyards are perfect for me. Just 50 cases of each vintage is what I ask.
Well, and it's kind of funny because you said I don't have to make more than what I need. And the production on the Cabernet Sauvignon Flying J vineyard that we're drinking this evening, and I committed a faux pas by having green screen behind me on a green screen. So the bottle is really doing funky stuff. 49 cases of wine. That Gallo spills that in a harvest. I mean, 49 cases is, you have to be very diligent and very careful with that. So what is that? 2 barrels?
Yep. Actually, I usually make a little more. So I've got like 2.5 or 3 barrels. And then I use the 1 barrel for like topping and to keep the hoses full, things like that.
Interesting. And anybody inspire you to make wine other than what you've shared so far? I mean, you moved to Santa Rosa, then you moved to Calistoga. Were there any mentors?
Oh, absolutely. There's a man by the name of Alan Price, and he was the winemaker at Casa Nuestra, where I was for an apprentice winemaker for 10 years. And he's 4th generation Napa Valley. He has wine in his veins. He can look at a cluster of grapes and give me a whole bio of a vineyard from the grapes. He's just brilliant. And Alan said, you really should be doing this on your own. You don't have to be an apprentice or an assistant winemaker. You really should just make some wine. And I worked at a little winery that he introduced me to called David Fulton. And they had this little Cabernet vineyard. It was a Petite Sirah house. So they made pretty much just Petite Sirah and sold the Cabernet vineyard. And they knew I wanted to start making my own. And they let me work with that vineyard.
Wow, impressive. And so he basically kicked you out of the nest and forced you to go make your own wine.
Yes, he did. But he didn't let me fall. He hung in there with me for sure.
Very nice. Hello, Doug R. Good to see you. And so where does the name Trotter 116 hail from?
Well, maiden name is Trotter, and I'm one of 16 kids. Yeah, right when you're sipping. Same mom and dad. That's the next question.
That is the next question. Same mom and dad. So it's the Brady Bunch times 2.5. I mean, it's insane. 2 3/4, 16. So what are the age spans?
My eldest brother is 79 and my youngest is 54.
Wow, that was rapid fire. That's quick. And being in Ireland, there might be a few twins in the Trotter family.
No
Irish twins?
No, not even Irish twins.
Wow, I'm shocked, speechless, which is hard to do for me. All right, well, this is the SIP educational series. So you and I are going to talk about bottle sizes, and we're going to be talking about bottle shapes. And I think one of the first and foremost regions people get exposed to is Bordeaux. And there's actually a Bordeaux bottle. And your bottle of wine, as a matter of fact, is in a Bordeaux bottle. It can be white or green. And I have a white Bordeaux bottle. Now, I'd be curious as to what are the hallmarks of a Bordeaux bottle?
Well, the high shoulders, first of all. So I have a Bordeaux bottle here. So the high
Perfect.
shoulders are perfect because Bordeaux wines are generally cellar worthy, age worthy. And they're gonna, over time, throw more sediment. Tartrates are gonna fall out. And I think that the high shoulder is to help catch some of that sediment a little for you. So
When you're pouring.
when you're pouring, and it's here, it's actually, or in France, it's actually regulated. They're regulated as to which bottle shape they use by region, whereas in the United States, we're not.
Interesting. And so color of bottle, most bottles are green, most of the Sauv Blancs, a lot of the Chards are clear. And what does the color of the bottle have to do with anything?
Well, light is the #1 detriment to aging wine, so we put it in colored glass. And there's classic colors for styles, different styles of wine. That kind of brownish is called antique green, actually, and that's typical. I don't know if you can see the color of this. This is dead leaf green, so it's kind of a brighter green. I find champagne bottles are in this color a lot.
Right.
Um,
I do have a
yeah.
sparkling wine in that color, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of hard to see the bottle when it's full for the color.
We can remedy that.
Sure, you could.
All right. And then Jim B, and the B is for Bocce. Jim Bocce got this week's trivia question correct and beat Julie. Is Julie on? Beat Julie by 1 minute. So I'm not certain how Jim, I think he might have a setting.
1 point.
It was like
1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes. Jim had the correct answer, and then bam, the second correct answer. So this bottle, we talked about it in the trivia question. This is a Hock wine bottle. And why is it a Hock wine bottle? Do you know, Stephanie?
No.
All right. No, it's okay. And by the way, this bottle, the Hock bottle, has no punt. Now that's also interesting. What is the punt for? You can see it certainly on the champagne bottle. It's huge.
Right. So, well, champagne, you need a bigger punt because they riddle that in the bottle. So the bottle has to be turned at the end, like this.
Yep.
But for other wines, I think that just over time, the punt makes the bottle stronger for transport. Just gives it strength. And I think that's where the glass blowers kind of needed to end the job when they started making glass bottles. So.
And now I have a Pinot Noir bottle, unlike the Bordeaux bottle, has very low, if not any shoulders. Like my brother Colin, very poor shoulder definition.
So
he's not on. I told him to come on, but he's not on, so I can make fun of him.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, sloping shoulder. So Pinot Noirs, Chardonnays are from the Burgundy region, and this shape bottle is called a Burgundy bottle. So.
And why are the shoulders sloped?
Well, I just you don't age them as long, so I don't think they're going to throw as much sediment. And I think they just want to be. Yep, there you go. Yeah, they want it to be different than each other. And like I said, again, it's regulated here, so they have to use that bottle shape from their region. And as a consumer here in France, if you see the shape of the bottle but can't read the label, you can count on the wines being stylistically consistent from region to region. Because the grapes are regulated, and so is the bottle shape. So when you can.
Right. So you don't even have to be able to read the label. If you are looking at a Bordeaux bottle shape with high shoulders, you know that it's going to be a Bordeaux bottle, a blend of the 5 Bordeaux varietals.
And you're all
And-
like,
Yep. And same with Burgundy bottle or Pinot Noir bottle, you know that it's going to be varietal specific. So it's going to be Pinot Noir
right, if it's in French.
if it's in
Yeah,
French.
we're not regulated like that in the US.
Okay. And so now I have a Bordeaux bottle here from Nick Goldschmidt that weighs about 3 times as much as the regular Bordeaux bottle, a 750 ml. And why do some winemakers make it so heavy? What's is there a winemaking trait or attribute that they're after, or is it testosterone?
It could be testosterone. Wine is liquid art, and they're opting for that big frame, around the painting kind of thing. There's no purpose to it. I mean, maybe it'll be stronger, longer lasting in a cellar. I don't know how much longer they would want it to last than a regular 750. Personally, for me, I don't ever use those heavy bottles because I am only direct, and that's just a waste of shipping. It's just not environmentally responsible to ship all that extra weight.
No, and some of these are heavy. You could have these underneath your car seat and they could double as a weapon when they're empty. They're not that I have any experience in that. That came out of nowhere. I'm not even certain. Elizabeth knows what I'm talking about. All right. So I want to go to a first poll question because Jim B was so fast on the Hock bottle, but I'm curious if anybody knows where that name actually came from. So the term Hock is used to describe a tall, thin wine bottle, or as I typed earlier, bottler, which is not a word. Usually Riesling comes from where? Austria, the United Kingdom, Germany, Czech Republic, or Chechnya. And by the way, put your phones down, people. This is Cellar Angels. This isn't, some little fly-by-night operation. I'm going to give everyone 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any guesses, Stephanie?
Germany.
You would think it would come from Germany. It's actually a phrase originated by the United Kingdom.
Wow.
So
All right.
the Brits decided to call white wine from Germany, typically Riesling with a hint of sweetness, a Hock wine, and hence the name of the bottle became a Hock bottle.
Wow. All right.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Look at Brent. Brent, spot on. The wine comes from Germany, but the Brits call it Hock. Crazy.
Yep.
I didn't
And
share the
those-
results today. Or did you
and
stop
those-
sharing? Okay, that's great.
Most
Mission
Hock
control.
bottles will have a punt of some. They don't-
Interesting.
Yeah. Or it's just a quality thing.
All right, next question. This is really extra credit because you have to be a long time Cellar Angel lover and follower to be able to get deep into the weeds with this next question. During the harvest of 2021, Stephanie did what for Cellar Angels Faithful while filming a video? She climbed a ladder to show grapes dumped in a hopper. She slammed a beer on the crush pad to launch harvest, poured a bottle of white Zin down the outdoor drain to cleanse the area, raked 1.4 tons of Cabernet into the hopper for filming.
Ooh, what did I do?
Notice Stephanie's thinking to herself, she goes, all 4 of those are good possibilities.
Yeah. 2021, that was so long ago.
It was 7 months ago.
Oh my God.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. 13 people said climbed a ladder to show grapes dumped into a hopper, and they are correct. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. And if memory serves me, you mentioned in that video that previously you didn't have that modern equipment. You would have had to, how would you have gotten, would they just lift up the bin and tilt it and you just have a rake?
Yeah. A pitchfork and a shovel, and you hand shovel them in to the destemmer.
Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can imagine that.
scanning in the bin.
That
So,
that that had to be exciting to see that modern equipment. Just take the bin and just flip it over and pour it out.
actually, not really. I prefer to do it on my own. Like I'm making it less equipment, less, I just want to do it myself. So I prefer to
Awesome.
sit in and shovel 1.4 tons of grapes.
And I had that part right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to shovel 1.4 tons of grapes, which basically that now I understand why you want to keep it small, because if you're shoveling all your own grapes, you don't want to,
Well, now
be
we
doing
can
that with 10
so,
barrels.
yeah.
So you're in obviously cab country and you make Cabernet Sauvignon. Was there an epiphany of a great cab you tasted where you thought, oh my goodness, this is singing to me and I want to make Cabernet?
Um, not necessarily one wine. There's just some really great wines out there. And as a little guy, Cabernet came easily. Those most readily available grapes. And then through networking, I met a woman who owned a vineyard, and I met a woman that is the country going in and teaching how to convert agricultural crops back to being organic. So
Oh, wow.
she teaches at Harvard Business School how to convert your corn back to being organic. And she has a friend with the little vineyard in Coombsville, and made some introductions, and a few handshakes later, I got to make Cabernet from there.
Okay. So how do you take a cornfield and turn it into organic?
I don't know, we'd have to ask Daphne.
That sounds
I
nearly
don't even know.
impossible. I don't know either.
Right?
I do see a chant for, well, by the way, at the bottom of the hour, for those of you that want to turn on your camera and are Zoom appropriate, there was a lot of fiascos a couple of weeks ago when that didn't happen. Denise, Mission Control is going to allow that to happen. So this is that part of the show, Wine's Most Entertaining Hour, where you get to actually turn your camera on and communicate with Stephanie one-on-one. Stephanie, when people come to the Valley, how do they get to taste with you? Because I know you don't have a tasting room or a winery, so to speak.
I don't have any brick and mortar facility. And so I am happy to meet people coming to the Valley that want to taste my wine at their restaurant of choice, or their hotel lobby, or the deck of their Airbnb, or yeah. So I'll pretty much come to you.
So just get in touch with you in advance, shoot you an email and say, hey, we're going to be in the Valley in a month or so, or 3 weeks, and here's where we're staying, and you take care of the arrangements then.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
It's pretty fun.
And in addition to the picture behind me of the bottles, there's a couple other ones where you can talk a little bit about, and this one is from a group called Winery Lovers, but we were talking a little bit about the shoulder. We were talking about the neck. The ring in the bottle is pretty uniform. The bottom actually changes based upon varietal. And a lot of times the sparkling wine has the largest punt. This, as Stephanie mentioned, was used for the riddling process with sparkling. It also goes back to when wine bottles were made by hand. And if you remember our glass wine blowing episode, and how could you forget that person had too much to drink, but you can see the glass rod that holds onto the bottle is the same that holds onto the wine stem. So this was actually to roll and pull these from hand at one point in time, and so the punt is a little bit of a holdover from that. So that actually helps with that whole process. Alyssa, look at Jim B out there in the sunshine, looking good. Jeff and Jane in their friendly confines, not to be associated with Wrigley Field. Doug, recognizing that it's usually a much higher class operation, came with his coat and tie this evening. Looking good. Everyone is looking good. I want to show one thing before we jump into Google Earth, and I can't find it. I have Ivy would be proud. I've got more tabs open than I know what to do with. That's an inside. I don't even know where that went. I want to show one thing there. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, this is Martin Earth. It's a lesser known feature functionality, but this morning before dawn, I walked outside to snap this picture for you all. This is Saturn. This is Mars. This is Neptune and Jupiter, and this is Venus. So in the next 3
Wow.
weeks, you will be able to see 4 planets. This is actually Jupiter and Neptune together, which is why it's so bright. But it's fascinating that all 4 planets are now visible with the naked eye. So if you have a chance and have a clear night to look in the southeastern sky before dawn, that's what you're going to see. Pretty spectacular. Now on to Google Earth, which I know Jeff wanted to see. And let me make certain that's still open. Great. This is going off outstanding.
How fun to
Like our
see all the
first-
babies.
It's like our first episode.
Nice.
Not many people recognize this is episode 93. It's like, are these guys, have they ever done this before?
Oh, stop.
All right. So episode 93, we got started because we really were sick and tired after we owned a bricks and mortar wine store that the small individual limited production wineries were not represented. And when you make 49 cases, unless 5 of the most famous wine critics in the world are going to give Stephanie 95 and above, and some of them have, very few distributors are going to carry her wines, which is a crime because as we found out